Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to my channel. It's Belinda here. We're going to do Roxy's weekly challenge today, and this is a hinged journal page with inbuilt pocket. I think that's basically what it is. I had a play round and made just a plain one, so I'm possibly not going to do this one on camera with you guys. It's just simply a book page with another book page turned into an angle pocket. So it's not hinged, it's just a pocket on a page. Pretty simple, but as I was watching Rachel from Roxy Creations, I got all these ideas in my head, and it's like there's so many different ways that you could go with this particular project, and I wanted to try and do as many of them as I can remember, because I watched it yesterday and time's passed and a lot of those ideas went vamoose, as they do, because I didn't write them down or make them at the time or anything. So we're just going to see how it goes. But I just wanted to show you this one. I've used two different book pages. So there's Arabian Nights book page there from a children's book, and then a dictionary page here, which I've made the pocket and decorated with a bit of napkin. So super simple, that one. I'm sure you could work out something along those lines. Just a pocket on a page. Nothing too amazing there, but it is a variation of this project. So for the next one, let's get into, and I just need to check the sizing of this, that it's, yep, that looks to be a good height. So this is another Arabian Nights page, and I am just going to fold it about there, I think. I'm just eyeballing. It's going to be slightly narrower than my typical journal page, and that's okay. I don't mind having different sized pages. I just don't want it bigger than my typical page, because then I would struggle to actually use it in a journal. So just folding it, leaving a ½ inch or so on the edge there. Give that a nice crease. And then I want to choose which side I'm going to turn into the pocket. Do I want the text or I think I'll do it this way. I'm going to fold this corner over. So this is the shorter side. It's going to be the pocket. So I'm going to fold that over there. And that's our pocket. So pocket there. And then this bit is going to be our hinge, and we're going to hinge it to another book page. So I'm not going to turn it over the whole way, the whole ½ inch, although you can. I'm just eyeballing it. So it's quite thick paper, this. You know how some children's books are quite sturdy paper. I guess they think that, they've got to stand up to the handling of little munchkins. They need to be stronger, sturdier stuff. So it's almost all the way over. It doesn't matter. It could be further in, then you just have to trim a bit. It's up to you. I've also got this little tear here, which I'm just going to tear off all the way, because that's just annoying. Right. So I don't want all this bulk here. So I am going to just cut it. You could fold it back the other way, this way. Do I like that better, or do I like it tucked under? So it needs to sit inside that fold line where your hinges. If it doesn't, just trim a bit off so it does. Which way round do I want it? I think I like it tucked under. Okay, so I'm going to just trim off some of that excess to reduce the bulk, and that can be glued down flat. And it's also going to reinforce the top of the pocket as well. So you could trim it just straight across and take all the flap off, but I like to leave some to just reinforce that edge. It is old book page after all, even though it's quite a thick book page. So that's going to be glued down, but before we glue it down, I want to hinge it to book page. So I've got a dictionary page here, which is the right size. I've pre-cut it to size, so it works well. Now the thing with this book page is I do have a couple of words here that I don't want. Okay, so that other side looks good. So this hinge is going to partially cover those words, but not totally. So I'm going to have to put something else there to disguise those words that we don't want. So I'm going to glue this on. And you can glue the hinge on the back of the book page, or you can glue the book page on the back of the hinge. Whichever way will work. Your preference will depend what's on the flap, whether you want a particular side of the flap showing. I didn't even look because I'm just going to do this way because I want to cover those words up somehow. Don't need those naughty words. That's the thing about dictionaries. They define all sorts of words, and some of those words are not great. Not great at all. So we've created a journal page that's made from 2 different book pages. You could use the same book pages if you prefer. Now before I glue this down, I want to add some decoration, and I'm going to be using the napkins today, the serviettes. I've grabbed out a bunch of just different ones, and I think this one would go well with the colours in this image here. It's sort of greens and a bit of blue. So this one I think will work really well. Just looking at what part of the napkin I want to pop on. Maybe this floral down here. So I'm going to take a water brush. You can do the same thing with a paintbrush dipped in water. But very, very handy tip if you haven't seen it before. Just going to squeeze it to get some water out on the tip. Oops. I'm doing it off to the side so I didn't end up with a big splodge of water, because like I just actually did. So I'm just going to loosely draw around that floral. Oops, need a bit more water. Whoops, that was probably a little much. Never mind. And I'm not going to take the whole floral. I'm just kind of going roughly there. And then it makes it really easy to tear where you want to tear with that water. Don't put too much water, because then it can just go in places that you don't want. Like I've got this big splodge here. Fortunately, it's still fine. It doesn't interfere with where I wanted to tear. And okay, it's torn where I didn't want it to tear, because I think it was, the water was drying. So I'm just going to bring it down here instead. Slightly different place to what I had. It's all good. Here we go. So, you know, not a perfect method by any stretch of the imagination, depending how much, you know, time you take. I was being quite hasty, I guess, quick with it. I wasn't being too careful. Okay, and we'll just trim that bit off or fold it under or something. Right, so I'm going to glue now. Just going to slide glue page in under there and estimate roundabout where I want to put the glue stick. I learnt this technique off Gail Agostinelli and it works beautifully. Kind of work out roughly where you want the glue and go back in under the edges that you've missed, and any glue that's not covered with napkin will dry and won't be a problem. It'll just dry and not be sticky anymore or not show. So, and the glue stick is perfectly adequate. You could use Mod Podge or matte medium, whatever your preference is. Whoops, I've got some wrinkles in there, which I'm not worried about. Just extra texture. So just going back. Whoops, I've missed a bit along there. Just going in and getting the spots that haven't got any glue. The other alternative is, if you don't want to go back in and put more glue under the edge, is you can just tear it back to where the glue is, which, if you aren't worried about the pattern on the napkin, I have done that before, just torn off the bits that weren't glued down, and that works well as well. Works well also. That sounds a little bit less clumsy, doesn't it? Oops, I've got some lint on the glue. Must be off my sleeve. I must apologise too that we're experiencing some high winds today, and so it comes in gusts. There may be some noisy patches where it's rattling the chimney and things like that. I'm afraid there's nothing I can do about it, but I do apologise if it gets a tad noisy from time to time. Seems to be relatively calm right now. 10 minutes ago I could barely hear myself think. So yeah, very, very gusty. Okay, so we can further decorate this with labels, numbers, a focal image, you know, whatever one likes. But I'm just going to do the napkin and then leave further decorating to when I use it in a journal, because I might have something out of a kit or a theme that I'm going with where a specific word might be desired. Now I'm just going to glue this pocket shut. So down the side, the short side here, and along the bottom. So quite simple really, not too complicated. Make sure that glue sticks. And we've made a hinged page with built-in pocket out of 2 book pages. So ready to go in a journal. Super fun. Right, I do want to think about this though, because I don't want to forget and have it turn up in one of the journals that I make. That would be very, very unfortunate. Maybe a Junk Journal Studio label. Where have I put them? Just thinking, these the red add-on kit to the Botanical Collage and Cluster Mega Pack. There. It doesn't mean anything in terms of the page or anything. It's just to cover bad words. Words that I do not want on my piece. Do I want to distress around it, make it look a bit more feature-ish? Maybe I will. Yes, it would be just horrible to have that end up in a journal that somebody buys. It would not be good. So we're going to hide it right now. So hopefully you can't see those bad words in the camera. Because I don't want you guys to have those there either. I don't think you'll be able to pick it up, but yeah. You certainly won't now because it's covered. No more bad words. Here we go. Right, that one's done. Okay, so on to the next one. I have this really, really fun, I think it's German. I believe it's German Atlas page. Beautiful graphic. Just love this very restricted color palette. So it's a creamy paper, black and blue text, and some water there. It's quite large. I have trimmed off some excess to make it the right height. and I want to see the width. Is it, yeah, it's too wide for a typical page, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted this one because this is a different idea, you know, a variation on the idea, shall I say. So I'm going to go about there. So folding it basically to the size of my typical journal page. And then I'm going to fold in, which way do I want to do this? Maybe this way, maybe to the inside. And this, I'm not worried too much about it being the right width, just not too wide. I don't want it to be too wide. So this is for a nice big tall page. You might want to do this idea like this atlas. You know, it's a big atlas. So just checking my size. Yep, so our back page here is the right width for my journal page. This one's narrower with a hinge. Okay, so we're going to take another dictionary page like so. It needs a trim along the edge there. It also needs to be trimmed down, so I think I'll do the height first. How's that? Needs a little bit more off. Again, can be shorter. Doesn't need to be the same height, and so I've made it slightly shorter. Now I'm going to fix up this. Actually, I think I'm using the wrong paper. Now that I think about it, I don't think it will work with this one. I think I need a bigger piece. So bring on another piece of paper, which is also big. It's the right height and it's got a raggedy edge, which I actually quite like. But do I want to put the raggedy edge at the bottom? Possibly at the bottom might work better. Okay, so I'm going to fold this. We want the text on the outside. So I need it to fit within this space here. Okay, so between our hinge, where our hinges, so this crease and this middle crease where the signature will be sewn in, or where the page will be sewn into the signature, I should say. Sorry, I was just creating a shadow with where I was holding that paper. Get it together, woman. Like, seriously. I feel like I'm all over the show. Okay, so I need it to fit within that space. So I'm going to fold it, and I don't want it to go all the way to that crease because I don't want it to interfere with the when it's sewn in. So bring it a little bit back from that center crease and fold it there. So now I'm going to trim off this excess piece because we don't need that. It's not straight. I haven't folded it straight. Let's try again. Don't know that it's much better, but anyway, let's move on. Stop being a perfectionist. Okay, so cutting off that excess. Actually, no, I'm going to put that at the top. I am going to put it at the top. So again, we're going to fold in our corner to create our angle pocket. This is from a bird book, this page, and it's also very sturdy. I perhaps should use a lighter page, I'm not sure. So I'm going to trim off that excess again. And glue that down. haven't made a prototype of this particular design, so I'm just kind of winging it. If it doesn't work, we'll just adjust and make it work. Yes, we will. Okay. It's very nice thick paper, this. Right. So, just thinking, do I want to glue it onto the hinge like that? That could be quite fun. Could even do it right to the edge of the hinge, or we could do it that way. I quite like that map, so although there is a white strip or a creamy strip, we could just make sure that it comes within that fold line. Now that way or that way. I think I'm going to do it that way. Okay, so I'm going to glue it onto our flap. Now here you've got options. You can glue it straight down onto your hinge here, or you could leave the hinge as a tuck spot and just glue it top and bottom. I am thinking maybe I will do that. I'm going to have it not a full height tuck spot. I'm going to actually put like a 1/2 inch of glue at top and bottom, just to make it a smaller area for a tuck spot. You could even turn it into 2 little tuck spots by putting glue in the middle as well. So options, multiple options on how you might want to mix this up a little bit and make it differently each time. So we've got a tuck spot there. And on this side, we're going to glue this down into a pocket. But again, I think I want to do the napkin decorating before I glue it down. And possibly should have done it before I glued it to the hinge, but never mind. It's okay. Put this behind, and what would we like on this one? Let's go bright. Let's go floral. This beautiful napkin here. And it's just a repeating pattern, so I'm not going to try and cut out a particular part. I'm just going to randomly kind of tear a piece. Actually, I might tear that all the way. And give it a bit of an interesting top there. Kind of not liking this edge so much, but I think it's okay. I think we can go with it because that could have a strip of something else on it. Don't think it's the end of the world. So glue stick, or we could patch it with another bit of serviette or a different serviette even. We could cover the whole thing in napkin. Sorry, I do use napkin and serviette interchangeably because here in New Zealand we call them serviettes, and so that's more natural. I'm trying to call them napkins for the benefit of, you know, the whole world, but sometimes I lapse back into serviette because that's more normal for me. So let's just put it right down along that edge. I could have wrapped it around actually, but too late now. I didn't think about it in time. Get the stickiness out from underneath. Need to give that a press press down. So doing this before you glue the pocket down just allows you to trim a lot more easily. Bit of a croak sneaking into my voice. Probably means I need a drink. It's a very long piece of paper when it's all out like this. Did I get... Yep, that's all fine. So do I want to patch that? Or something else? Not sure what else would go with it. No. Nope. I think it would have to be the same serviette or like a plain pink or something. I think I'll leave it for now. I can like pop some washi tape or a label or a focal image or something. So I'm just going to leave it. Close up our pocket. So short side and the bottom. Oops, I've got a little bit of serviette lifting here, so I'm just going to use my tacky glue. Tacky glue also works really well for getting in and getting bits that you've missed or start lifting because you didn't, get enough glue on there with the glue stick. Sometimes you hit an area and you think you got it good enough and you didn't. It's just how life goes. So this one, we have a journal page. So there's our journal page. Opens up, so this is our page here. We've got a side tuck here, and then it flips out for our pocket. So just layering things up. I might actually put a little bit of glue just along under this edge. Just a wee bit. I don't want to make our tuck spot too narrow. Oh, it's raining. Northwest driven rain. It's driven across the Alps, the Southern Alps, by the strong winds. So it's blue sky outside and it's raining. We get that in nor'westers, which is what we have today. Our strong, gusty, often horrible wind. So that's just going to give a little bit of stability on this edge of the tuck spot. And a little bit of stability to this pocket that it's actually adhered down this length. Okay, so that's idea number 3, of which we've made 2. Okay, so the first one I showed you is idea number 1. I really like this idea of the flip out pocket. And then we could put writing space or another pocket or a belly band or, whatever. Because this isn't writable, is it? But we've already injected 2 writable places. There's writing here, but we've created a writing spot here where you can tuck something in. Writing spot here where you tuck in a journal card or a tag or both. We could cover some of this with writing paper if we choose, but I can decide on that at a later date. So that is number 2. Number 3, sorry. So number 1, just straight pocket on a page. Number 2 is that's the wind. Using 2 book pages and creating the pocket on one of them, just with the same book page. And then this one, again, 2 book pages, but our large page as the base, and then another page folded into a pocket and attached via a hinge. So 3 ideas so far. Did I have any more that I can remember? I'm not actually sure. Shall we have just a play round and see what we can come up with, or just make more of the same? Like, there's nothing wrong with making more of the same. let's grab out my journal page here to check the sizing. So this one is actually the right size if I just fold it directly in half. So I'm going to start with that. So this is the bird book paper. Just give it a good crease down there. So what do I want to do with this one? Let's grab out this dictionary page that I prepared earlier and realised was the wrong one. Shall we do a smaller version rather than a big full page version? Let's do a smaller version. So I want to create a hinge on this. So fold over a bit to create a hinge. So that will hinge on maybe this side. Let's create our pocket. And it doesn't have to be an angle pocket either. You could totally make it a straight pocket. We could even like have it in the middle. It doesn't have to be down the bottom since it's smaller. Just have it hinge out, or we could have it hinge this way, I suppose. It doesn't need to be on that side. If you wanted the pocket front, so let me go back and explain from the start. So this way it would flip out and our pocket would be hidden underneath. So this would be just decorated or writing space or something, flip it out, and then our pocket would show here. If you wanted to do it the other way, so the pocket was on the front, then you would hinge it the other way, would you? Sorry, I've just got to work this out in my head. Can you do it the other way? Yes, you can. So hinge would still be the same way, but instead of tucking your paper, top piece of paper underneath, it would flip over top, and then your pocket would be on top, and then flip it open, and then you've got writing space on the back, or decorated or whatever. I would tend to put writing space. It's like a little hidden writing space. Okay, so I'm going to do it this way. Do I want an angle pocket? Yeah, why not? Let's do an angle pocket. Something just a bit different to a straight pocket, isn't it? And that's what Rachel was doing in her video, was angle pockets. So again, just trimming off that excess. So not only do we have the noise of the wind, but we've got the noise of the rain. And my fingernails are turning blue. I bet it's really warm outside. We had a stunning day yesterday. It was not sure what it got to. It was supposed to get to 22. And I suspect it very well could have. Not inside. Inside it was cool but bearable. I didn't light the fire at all. I was a little chilled by the time I came to go into bed, but that was okay. I warmed up fairly quickly. Okay, so that's going to be our pocket there. So let's put some napkin on that, and more florals. I love this serviette with the creamy coloured and red roses. Very pretty. Used it a number of times. I might just cover the whole pocket this time because that piece is large enough. And I might actually wrap it around onto the back as well. I didn't check if we had enough, but the glue will dry if it doesn't end up getting covered. So let's just try it. So it's going to be a straight edge along that bit that's wrapped around to the back, which is fine. So I have got a gap down here that the napkin had a piece out of. hitting those corners with the tacky glue because I can't be bothered putting it back on the gluey paper, because my glue page is getting quite gluey at this point. Okay, trim it up. Being careful not to cut into the page itself. Oops, I am fully on cutting into the page right now. Just as I said that, wouldn't you know it, I trimmed off some of the page. Oh well, that's how it goes sometimes. Right, do I want to patch that little bit down here? It's a little bit gluey. We might be able to just put that there and then put some tacky glue on the overlap. Oops, again, cutting the page, my goodness, because I'm not being careful enough. Right, so let's just put some more glue on this. I'm putting it on the back of the napkin, so I'm getting it in the precise position. Right, and that little bit. Okay, patched. Right, now is it dry enough to fold it? Where's my fold line? Oh, there. It's so obvious, it would have bitten me. Oh, isn't that pretty? I love that. And then we can put writing space on here, which is going to cover over most of that hard edge. But I don't actually mind that hard edge. It's like a strip of washi tape almost. Okay, so we can glue that pocket shut now. So it's a smaller pocket, but it is hinged to our book page, journal page, which sounds very clumsy when I say it, but hopefully that makes sense. Because it's a journal page made out of book page. So book page, journal page, just a different way of saying it. Okay, so that's going to go there. So we're going to have a pocket on the front. On the back, we will have writing space. So do I want to hinge it to the page so it hangs over like that? In this case, no. I think I want it to be on this side. So I'm going to glue the whole thing down. I'm not going to add in a pocket or tuck spot to this hinge. I'm just going to glue it completely down. Oh, I might end up having to light the fire. Right, so glue it just slightly in from the edge. I'm going, not all the way to the edge of the page. So there is actually writing space on this page. We wouldn't necessarily need to cover the whole thing. We could just like add a decorative bit or a journal card, actually glue a journal card onto there, or you know, or a tag. Actually, that's something I haven't really done. I don't know that I have one handy that I could use, like some sort of decorative something, but which is also writable. This is a rose one. This is out of my vintage floral kit. And it's possibly not the right size, but I want to kind of demonstrate what my thinking was, which was totally unplanned. Just occurred to me it was a way we could deal with this page that might be a little bit different. Yeah, I think it needs something larger than this, but this will do for an example. So bear with me while I cut it out. Okay, so we have a tag, possibly a bit bigger, but it could be placed on there as like a feature writing place. You know, so it could be a particular note or event or something that's recorded there, then all this other space for the other things of the day. Or you could use something like this as a pocket, like just adhere a tag as a pocket. That could be super fun as well. So ideas there for you, just kind of springboarding as we go. Now I do think I want to add writing space on the back there, and do it now. It's not quite the right size, but we can trim it down. So I go, I think I'll do this edge. That cut is not straight. Okay, let's do it this edge then, because this one I think is straighter. So I'm going to go about there and there. Okay. Something is funky on this. Something is not straight. We shall make it straight. Right. So I've trimmed it there. So that edge is straight. So I'm going to use that as my guide. And just do a little trim up on the side just to straighten anything that might be slightly off. And okay, so that's straight edge, so I'm going to line it up against that edge. And then just a little bit off the top just to straighten that, if in case it's wonky. Don't know if it was at that top, but it is now. Well, as much as I can make it good. Okay, so that's going to go right there. Just going to tacky glue it on. So great way to add in some interactive writing space and just extra writing space by using the back of your little hinged piece. I love adding extra writing space in wherever I can, and if it's interactive, all the better. This paper's got a little crimp mark where I've hung it on the coat hanger to dry. I only do that if I'm impatient and I want to put the next piece of paper on the fire to dry. Then if the previous piece isn't quite dry, I'll clip it to a coat hanger. And this is one I've clipped to a coat hanger. Right, so a bit of writing space there on the back of our little hinged pocket. And you can still get something, you know, reasonable size in there. So awesome. That's cool. So that's a fourth idea for you. And I think I'm going to call it good at that. So let's just have a review. So from the start, book page, and then using a second book page to create a angled pocket, glued it on, and call it good, which I didn't do on camera. Then there's this one. I'll just shift those out so you can sort of see better. So took 2 book pages again, a large one that we turned into a pocket, and then we just hinged on a second book page. That's the right, roughly the right size. So that's idea number 2, or variation 2. Number 3, we used a very large book page and folded it in half, plus a flap for a hinge. And then we used a second book page to fold into a pocket and attached it to the hinge, leaving a tuck spot on the side there, and then our pocket. So that's variation number 3. And variation number 4, book page, and then a smaller book page folded in half and hinged onto the base page as a smaller angle pocket with hidden writing space on the back. So that's it for today, guys. I hope all that made sense, and that I explained well enough. At the end of the day, I would just advise, grab out some papers and start playing. Just see how you can fold it, how you can manipulate it to make it a little different. I'm sure there are vastly more ways to recreate this kind of thing than what I have done. I am positive of that, and you can come up with many, many ideas. But if you don't, then maybe one of these ideas or all of them will suit you. Give it a go, my friends. Easy, fun, and variety is awesome. Variety in a journal. It's great. Thanks for joining me today, my friends. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you can join me then. Have a great afternoon/evening. Take care. Bye-bye.